Hi, everybody. This is Lisa Kessler from Kessler Insurance, and I am grateful to be here today again on behalf of Cheers for Charity New Hampshire. And as always, I'm here with my wonderful friend, Miss Joanne Burchak from Lighthouse Physical Therapy. Hi, Miss Joanne.
Hi, Lisa. Thank you. Yes, I'm so excited for another episode of Cheers for Charity, and we have another great one for you today. So I would love to introduce Amber and Emily with Blue Latitudes Foundation, and just go ahead and introduce yourselves. Tell us, a little bit about what your organization does.
Sure. Well, I'm Emily Hazelwood. I'm a marine conservation biologist and one of the co-presidents of the Blue Latitudes Foundation. The Blue Latitudes Foundation, we're a nonprofit organization. We were started in 2018, and we are bi-coastal. We have an office in San Diego and then one here in New England. And the goal of our nonprofit, we work entirely within the ocean space, but the goal of our nonprofit is to work at the intersection of industry and the environment so that we can find silver linings in our oceans where these two entities collide and have resulted in positive impacts on the ocean. Now, good examples of that include work in offshore aquaculture or the development of offshore wind. We're trying to discover areas of our oceans where these two often opposed thought groups are working together successfully and learning about ways we can replicate that.
And I'm Amber Sparks. I'm the other half of the Blue Latitudes Foundation. I lead our California office where we are working on repurposing offshore oil and gas platforms into artificial reefs. Now, this is a accepted program, rigs to reef in areas of like the Gulf of Mexico. There are programs that are developing in Thailand and in Africa. And here in California, we're looking to convert some of our platforms into permanent artificial reefs. So really excited to be here with you guys today and talk a little bit more about our foundation.
It's really fascinating. So how the heck do you do that? You see so much of our ocean being destroyed by pollution, and the fact that you guys are working to help, rebuild those pieces and bring that back. That is very fascinating. I love that.
Yeah, well, of course, I think everybody would love for the oceans to go back to the way they looked, 1,000 years ago, where there was millions and millions of fish and sea turtles and clean water. That would be just ideal. But the reality is that's not the way we use our oceans now. We use them for transportation, we use them for energy development, we use them for food production. But we believe there can be a happy medium that falls in between those two spaces. And that's where a lot of our projects are focused on seeking out, is that medium space that plays in between industry and the environment. Now, great examples of that are rigs to reefs, because it's an oil platform that can also function as a successful artificial reef. And we can see that model be replicated for things like offshore wind farms. Now, because in New England, we don't have oil platforms, but wind is coming. And what we're trying to work with here in New England is developing these offshore wind farms so that they can be environmentally sensitive and maybe support food production through poly aquaculture, or start to be planned in a way that doesn't impact fisheries negatively and actually can support fisheries. So that's a good example of that type of work that we're doing.
Finding the industry's responsiveness to this?
You know what? We find that the industry is actually very positively responsive to this. They're looking for opportunities to give back to the environment, to find opportunities to collaborate in a positive way, because so often they can be portrayed as impacting the environment in a negative way, or the things that that grab the headlines are often the really negative things, like a massive oil spill or how the development of offshore wind is going to impact whale migration. And so instead of focusing on those, really negative or challenging impacts of offshore industry, finding ways to reach across the table and work with industry to find opportunities to collaborate together for ocean conservation. And one other big element of the work that we do is highlighting women in this field, in science, technology, engineering, math, women in STEM. Portrayals of women in STEM are out numbered by men 2-to-1. And so what we're really working towards is being leaders and women in the ocean field to talk about these issues, talk about the science behind the issues as well. And we have a YouTube channel, Science CTV, that portrays women in the sciences and talks about, you know, important conservation issues. So we're always trying to highlight that as well in the work we do.
Yeah, which is great. And it is definitely always been a male dominated field. So it's wonderful you guys are helping boost the women in this field. And, you know, and I think it's important for young gals to see these opportunities. So
yeah, and for them to see the two of you, Emily and Amber, to see the two of you active in these kind of roles in a really professional way, where you're combining that sort of business practical sense with something like the love of your environment, right? And I think that's that you two are great role models for these young women who are coming through. So I'm really grateful for what you're doing. I think it's really cool. My pleasure. So my question to you guys is, you know, our goal is to just, you know, get you one more person that knows about your organization, one more resource, one more Chuck, one more, what do you need? What do you wish people would know about your organization that maybe they might not yet? And what do you need from the greater world? Let's put it out there.
That's a great question. And I think we can split it in half. I'll take the first part of your question. And I think what we'd like people to think differently about is how is ocean conservation, and not just from a perspective of, you know, traditional ocean conservation practices, but how we can use our oceans without using them up. And I think that's a big highlight of what we want to talk about is, you know, bringing together these two different thought groups, introducing women in STEM, getting their visibility increased, especially because there's so many brilliant women, not only just working in the environmental aspects, but also the industrial aspects of STEM. So I think those are two big areas of our oceans that in our focus of our work that we're really working on bringing more awareness to. And here in New England, you know, we're right on the cusp of offshore wind being developed, hopefully all the way up through the coast of Maine. But we're also going to be seeing the development of offshore aquaculture, and really New England's starting to lead a standard for offshore aquaculture. And we think that's brilliant. So that's definitely something that we'd like to highlight and bring more awareness to here in New England.
And I can sort of address the question about what do we need? What are we looking for? I would say that right now, one of our biggest goals is to expand and establish roots in New England. And we're looking for project partners, collaborators in the ocean science space in New England so that we can learn more about the industry and work together with citizens, with other nonprofits, with industries to sort of expand our reach on the East Coast. As always, our website and our social media, we're always looking for people to be interested and follow us along on our research and adventures there. You can find us at Blue Latitudes Foundation on Instagram and Facebook, Twitter as well. And our YouTube channel, as I mentioned, is Science CTV. We also are always accepting donations. Right now, we're being funded primarily by donors such as the Mary Jamison Foundation. We'll also have funding from Patagonia and other grantees throughout that give throughout the year. So we're excited to hopefully meet some new faces in New England and expand what we're able to do.
Fantastic. Joanne, do you have anything else you want to add to that? I can't see you.
Oh, sorry. Yeah.
Me.
So are there, you know, and this is a great platform if there's specifics, you know, you want to reach more people in the New England area. Are there specific industries that if somebody is listening to this, that'd be like, oh, I know somebody from that industry that may be interested, or, you know, different, I guess industries or people, what?
I think we're really interested in, for here in New England, I think what our primary interests are in offshore aquaculture and offshore wind. And we've been connecting with a lot of other groups like UNH and meeting with the offshore wind drinks. which has been great to start to meet other people interested in this issue. But I think we're looking to meet with those entities, but also the entities impacted by those development of those two, aquaculture and wind. And specifically, we're looking to connect with recreational and commercial fishermen. One of the things that our nonprofit works on is mapping how aquaculture and offshore wind and oil and gas impacts these industries. But we haven't really started to examine that here in New England. And we know that fishing is a really powerful part of New England's history. And so we'd love to connect with recreational and commercial fishermen in this area.
Awesome. Awesome. We're in New England. We're bound to know people who know commercial fish. I can think of a couple families right now that own commercial fishing businesses, right? Like, so that's awesome.
Really, yeah, up and down New England, that would be fabulous. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, this has been amazing. We like to give people sort of that tease, the intro to your organization. You guys have given us so much more than that, which has been such a gift. And we're so grateful for you both taking time with us today and explaining this really important initiative that's going to make a difference for generations. It's a long-term impact, and we're really grateful.
Thank you so much for having us.
Thank you.